Okay, now back to something a little bit more respectful. An outstanding 14-year-old violinist from San Francisco is up next. His name is Kenneth Renshaw, and he's standing at the mic with me now. Kenneth, you're one of our Jack Kent Cooke Young Artists, and you've already spent your $10K. What did you buy with our...
I bought this violin.
Oh, that's great. Fantastic. A quick return on our investment. Always glad to see that. Plus, you're going to let us check out its sound by playing a wild piece of music, Witold LUTOSLAWSKI's SUBITO. There are some really hard counting issues in this, coordination between piano and violin, but actually you have a favorite measure that demonstrates that complexity of rhythm.
Yeah, my favorite measure of this piece is in 51/32 time.
Is that a year? Or are we dealing with time travel?
No, that simply means that there are 51 beats in the measure, with each beat being a 30-second note.
How can you possibly count something like that?
Well, you don't. But what you do is really, well, you kind of do in a way, but what you do is you hear in the bass 1, 2, 3, and then basically you can do whatever you want in the top. There's a bass line and a treble line, but as long as that bass is strong and you're just listening, then you should be okay.
And I'm sorry to say that in the score, Mr. LUTOSLAWSKI makes a value judgment about violinists and pianists. Kenneth gets to have a measure in 51/32, but knowing how dim most pianists are, he just marks my time signature with an X. He just, up for grabs. Kenneth, go ahead and play that measure of 51/32. You all got that? This is a wonderful and difficult piece. We're going to play by Witold LUTOSLAWSKI, SUBITO. SUBITO is a wonderful title for this piece as well because it means suddenly in Italian. There are lots of sudden rhythmic changes, sudden mood changes, sudden dynamic changes, loud to soft, changes of mood. Let's do it. Kenneth Renshaw, 14 years old, playing LUTOSLAWSKI, who comes to us from San Francisco, California. Subito, I mean, it's a sudden confluence at the very end, the whole drama of playing that opening lick and having me come a split second after you the whole time, and then I finally get it right and finish with you. That's a nice moment there of suddenly getting it. Very dramatic and beautifully played, and nice sounding violin.
Thanks.
You make it
yeah,
sound
I really
great.
like this violin.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
nice.
Yeah.
Your intensity and focus, Kenneth, on stage is quite impressive, but it's nothing compared to the focus you need at home. What am I talking about?
Well, usually when I'm practicing at home, my dad will be teaching guitar on the floor below the floor that I'm practicing on. And then in the very next room, my mom will be either teaching piano or rehearsing with an opera singer. Usually the latter is a little bit louder, so. But I always kind of have to put blankets under the doors to try to block out the sound as much as I can, which still doesn't really help.
No. You must really have to block out distractions in order to do the mental work your violin teacher has you doing these days. What is the new sort of work you're up to?
Yeah, my teacher is having me do a very interesting concept, which I like quite a bit, and that's the idea of hearing the sound in your head that you yourself want before it comes out, or at least while you're playing. And when you do that, you start hearing a lot more about what you're doing, and some of it you like and some of it you don't like. So it's very interesting.
It is wonderful because I can feel there's a conscious effort on your part to vary. I mean, it's not just a question of loud and soft. It's a question of how close to the bridge you've got the bow, or how fast or slow the vibrato. Many people have just sort of an automatic vibrato, but there's a very serious choice being made. I can feel it every time you play. How do you conceptualize a sound? If it's a piece that you haven't played before, how do you make these decisions? Is it experimentation or what?
Well, usually if I'm not sure what I want yet, I look at the music itself and I try to see what the composer has written, or if there is any special patterns that are going on, like if something reappears later in the music that you've heard before, stuff like that. And if I still can't quite find what I want to hear myself, then I'll listen to some recordings, and that usually helps. So
it's a wonderful palette from which you've chosen some fantastic sounds, particularly in this performance of the LUTOSLAWSKI. It was a real great pleasure getting it together with you, Kenneth. And thank you for bringing it to us. And congratulations. Kenneth Renshaw, 14 years old, from San Francisco.